Hello everyone, and welcome to my Wrath of the Lich King Classic Survival Hunter Phase 1 Best in Slot Guide. In this guide, we will be covering what is absolute BiS for gear, the talent builds and glyphs, and good alternatives for each gear slot. We will also cover a priority list and what you should be putting on your wish list or that's my BiS. For Survival Hunter in Phase 1, things have changed a fair bit from what you might have known on private servers, and this information has been theory crafted at great lengths, and through using WoW Sims, there are actually two BiS lists to look over for the non-trap weaving and trap weaving gear sets, as they do slightly differ. Also, a new recent discovery at the time of creating this video is that Mirror of Truth does not proc off of Explosive Shot, but makes your trinket a little bit worse than other options for survival. Before we look at gear sets, let's quickly take a look over the Emblems of Valor. What item you should spend your emblems on first will depend on your own personal situation within your guild and what your loot priority looks like. Tier 7.5 shoulders are absolute BiS, however the legs are only an alternative option. They are, however, a good alternative, so if your loot situation is unfavorable, you can opt to use these. However, if you get lucky in raids and you get the tier tokens before you have the emblems available, then Hammerhead Sharkskin Cloak and Arm Guard of the Tower Archer are both great options, so if you need an upgrade and you have spare badges sitting around, definitely pick these up. Now moving into the gear sets themselves. For the non-trap weaving set, we use Blue Aspect Helm, socketed with a Relentless Earth Siege Diamond and Glinting Monarch Topaz. For the neck, we use Favor of the Dragon Queen, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the shoulders, we use Valorous Cryptstalker Spalders, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the cloak, we use Drape of the Deadly Foe. For the chest, we use Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess, socketed with two Delicate Dragon's Eyes. For the bracers, we use Slime Stream Bands, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the gloves, we use Valorous Cryptstalker Handguards, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the belt, we use Torn Web Wrapping, socketed with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby. For the legs, we use the Leggings of Failed Escape, socketed with a Delicate Dragon's Eye and Enchanted Tear. For the boots, we use Boots of the Renewed Flight. For the rings, we use Strong Handed Ring and Surge Needle Ring. For the trinkets, we use Grim Toll and Darkmoon Card Greatness. For the melee weapon, we use Journey's End. And finally, for the ranged weapon, we use Envoy of Mortality. Now, for the trap weaving set, the only difference is that you will use Valor's Cryptstalker Tunic instead of Chest Guard of Flagrant Prowess, Frosted Adroid Handguards instead of Valor's Cryptstalker Handguards, Fury of the Five Flights instead of Grim Toll, and you will replace the gem in Torn Web Wrapping with a Delicate Scarlet Ruby to a Rigid Autumn's Glow to maintain hit cap. Now for the talent build and glyphs. As survival, I recommend you use the 01754 build. This build will utilize Thrill of the Hunt and Hunting Party to supply your raid team with the replenishment buff. The 3 points and focused aim can be moved around as necessary as your gear allows for it, and you can move these points into improved aspect of the hawk. Aim shot isn't really necessary as multi-shot provides the same amount of damage, and the cast time is affected by haste, so you only need to stop for a very brief moment to cast it. The second talent build is the 61451 build. This is a pure personal DPS parse build that does not take any points in Thrill of the Hunt and Hunting Party, and instead takes improved aspect of the hawk and 1 point in focused aim. Now for the glyphs, I recommend using Glyph of Explosive Shot, Glyph of Explosive Trap, and Glyph of Kill Shot for both talent builds. Now that we have taken a look over what is absolute best in slot for the gear set as a whole, as well as some talents, let's dive into individual gear slots and talk about the best option, as well as some good alternatives for each slot. Remember that obtaining full BiS will be difficult and unlikely in most situations unless your guild is running split runs and you funnel loot to mains, so at times you will need to settle for these alternatives that we're going to look at. Starting with the helm slot, we have Blue Aspect Helm. This helm will be contested by a few classes, but it really shouldn't be that difficult to obtain. Your next best option will be Valorous Cryptstalker Headpiece, followed by Helm of the Grave. These options are both great alternatives and sim exactly the same in terms of DPS loss compared to Blue Aspect Helm, so just pick whichever drops first for you. For the neck, we use Favor of the Dragon Queen. This piece of gear comes from the quest item dropped by Saffron in 25-man Naxxramas, and the quest item itself that you need drops from 25-man Malagos. This is going to be highly contested by many classes, so you will need to wait your turn. The next best option is Pendant of the Dragonsworn, which just comes with a 10-man version. In the event you are unlucky with these quest rewards, you can opt for Icy Blast Amulet, Gem of Imprisoned Vassals, or Fool's Trial. For the shoulders, you will want to use Valorous Cryptstalker Spalders. This tier token can be purchased with Emblems of Valor, so this will not be a difficult piece of gear to obtain. All of the shoulder alternatives such as Heroes Cryptstalker Spalders, Upstanding Spalders, and Spalders of Egotism will never really see any use, as Valor's Cryptstalker Spalders are just too easy to get, and you can purchase them with Emblems of Valor after just 1 to 2 weeks of raiding. For the cloak, you have a few good options. Drape of the Deadly Foe is your best in slot and one of your largest DPS upgrades over Ice Striker's Cloak or Cloak of the Gushing Wounds from BiS. This cloak will be highly contested by pretty much every other physical DPS class, so you will potentially need to look at your next best alternative, which is Hammerhead Sharkskin Cloak. Luckily, this cloak only costs 25 Emblems of Valor, so should you need to go that route, it will be easy to obtain. If you're in a position with your gear where hit rating is required, then Cloak of Mastery is a great option to help with that. The chest you use will depend on whether or not you trap weave. Chestguard of Flagrant Prowess is used for non-trap weaving, and Valorous Cryptstalker Tunic is used for trap weaving. Both chest pieces should be rather simple to obtain, but don't be greedy and instead just focus on one. If you can only obtain Valorous Cryptstalker and Flagrant Prowess is out of reach or Proud hire to someone else in your raid, then you will do just fine in both situations. For alternatives, your best option is Tunic of Mass Suffering, however you will need to regem slightly to maintain hit cap. For the bracers, there are a few good options available. Slimestream bands are the best option overall, and they are BOE, so you can purchase them off the auction house if you have the gold available. Arachnoid Gold Band and Armguard of the Tower Archer are your fairly close alternatives. Arachnoid Gold Band will require one gem swap to a Rigid Autumn's Glow if the rest of your gear set does not reach hit cap. Armguard of the Tower Archer is another great option, but it does cost 60 Emblems of Valor. For the glove slot, you will want to use Valorous Cryptstalker handguards for non-trap weaving, or Frosted Adroit for trap weaving. Frosted Adroit are going to be a heavily contested piece of gear, however they are a major upgrade. If you are low on priority for these, then just stick to Valorous Cryptstalker handguards for all situations. If you're in desperate need for hit rating, you can offer Rusted Link Spike Gauntlets or Gloves of Calculated Risk. For the belt, Torn Web Wrapping will be your best option as survival and is another BOE that you can purchase right from the auction house. Depraved Link Belt is your next best alternative, but you will need to regem slightly to account for the loss of hit. Spectral Rider's Girdle is another great alternative, but similar to Depraved Link Belt, you will need to regem to hit for it. Torn Web Wrapping is perfectly itemized for survival and will be a sizable upgrade from BiS, so either put this higher up on your priority list or purchase it if you have the gold available. For the leg slot, Leggings of Failed Escape are your best option, with Leggings of the Honored being a close second. However, Leggings of the Honored will be contested by other classes and a better choice for them over Hunters. Valorous Cryptstalker leg guards are another decent alternative that can be purchased with Emblems of Valor, so there's no contesting other classes at the end of the day. Leggings of Colossal Strides are another great alternative, but due to the lack of hit rating, you will need to regem with either Rigid Autumn's Glow or Glinting Monarch Topaz as required. The boot slot is another major slot for survival hunters and where you will see one of your biggest DPS upgrades. Boots of the Renewed Flight are an incredibly powerful piece of gear that should be at the top of your priority list. Crippled Treads and Boots of the Great Construct are the next best options and nearly identical alternatives in terms of DPS, so take whichever drop first if you need to go with an alternative. For the rings, there are many great options available. All of the alternatives will require some gem swaps to accommodate hit rating, but even after the gem swaps were hit, they are still extremely close to the best options. Strong-Handed Ring and Surge Needle Ring are the best options to aim for, and if you have plenty of gold laying around, you can purchase Surge Needle Ring as is BOE. Strong-Handed Ring will be fairly contested, so in the meantime look at options such as Great Ring of Collision, Ring of Invincibility, and Sealing Ring of Globulus. For the trinkets, if you are focused on the trap weaving build, then Darkmoon Card Greatness and either Fury of the Five Flights or Loatheb Shadow are your best picks. Fury of the Five Flights will favor shorter fights around the 2-minute mark or shorter, and Loatheb Shadow will favor longer fights around the 2.5 minute or longer, due to being able to take advantage of an additional use. Now for non-trap weaving and the trinket selection here, Darkmoon Card Greatness is still the first best option, but due to new findings that Mirror of Truth does not proc off of Explosive Shot, it is actually not the best second trinket option, and instead Grim Toll takes its place. Now, I know how wrong this seems based on what people knew from private servers, but hear me out as it does sim the best. When using this trinket to utilize 100% of the passive hit rating, it provides you with the ability to use better gear in other slots for an overall DPS increase. Grim Toll also drops off of 4 bosses in Naxxramas, so it should be rather easy to pick up even with multiple other classes wanting it. If you ever get unlucky and you do not get a Grim Toll, then you will want to use Frosted Android Handguards or Black Ice, and then your next best alternative for the trinkets will be Fury of the Five Flights or Loatheb Shadow, followed by Bandit's Insignia. For the melee weapons, the best option is Journey's End. Feral Druids will be contesting you for this staff, and if you have one in your raid, then you should be passing the first one to them, as they will benefit from it greatly compared to you using it as just a stat stick. Now, when it comes to Betrayer of Humanity, this two-handed axe is extremely close in being the next best alternative. However, it will be Arms Inferior Warrior's absolute best option, and under no circumstance should you take this from them, similar to how they should not be taking a ranged weapon like Envoy of Mortality from a hunter. In the meantime, you can opt to use Cryptfiend's Bite or Black Ice if either drops, and no one wants them. Black Ice provides an insane amount of hit rating and can be used instead of Frosted Adroit Handguards to cover the hit rating necessary until you get a Grim Toll. Finally, we have the ranged weapon to look at. There's only one weapon you should even consider, and that is Envoy of Mortality. If you have a Marksman Hunter in your raid, keep in mind that they will gain more from this gun than you will as Survival, so it would be fair to pass this to them first. The next best alternative is Nerubian Conqueror, followed by Arrow Song, and then finally Final Voyage. These alternatives range anywhere from 150 to 190 DPS loss down from Envoy of Mortality. Now that we have taken a look over the gear itself, let's take a look at what your priority list should look like. Keep in mind that this list is based mainly on DPS gain per slot in competition with other classes. Items such as Valor's Cryptstalker Handguards are put last due to multiple tier tokens dropping per week, and they should be easy to get even without having high priority on them. And Grim Toll is left off the list completely as it drops off of 4 bosses and should be very easy to obtain. Your guild may have different loot priorities, so if they are transparent with loot, make adjustments as necessary, but this is what I personally recommend. Number 1 is Boots of the Renewed Flight. Number 2 is Blue Aspect Helm. Number 3 is Drape of the Deadly Foe. Number 4 is Fury of the Five Flights. Number 5 is Journey's End. Number 6 is Chestguard of Flagrant Prowess. Number 7 is Strong-Handed Ring. Number 8 is Favor of the Dragon Queen. Number 9 is Slimestream Bands. And number 10 is Valor's Cryptstalker Handguards. This wraps up the Survival Hunter Phase 1 Best in Slot Guide. If you found this video helpful, then please like and subscribe as it helps me out greatly. Also, feel free to comment down below if you have any questions or let me know what you thought of this video. You can join my Discord linked in the video description below and follow me on Twitch for more Hunter content. As always, thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.